was suggesting that besides listening to my usual talks today and next week, in 2 weeks on Sunday for our Okan service, we're going to have Reverend Amy Umezu, co-ed Amy Umezu of the West LA Temple. So please come. And for now, I will begin the service with the ringing of the conch shell. Thank you. No, you would sit no, not sit no, 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 We will move to the chanting of the Jusei. If you're at home, I think it's you're going to have the text on the screen. Is it 39? I never remember what. It is page 39 for the Romanized version in our book that we got from OCBC. So as you choose, please consider joining us in the chanting of the Jusei. Namo Butsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Butsu, Namo Tabutsu, Namo Butsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Nabutsu, Namo Butsu, Namo Butsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo. Busatsu Daimoryo Jukyo Jusei Gagon Cho Thegon Hishimu Jodo Shigan Hu Mandoku Te Fujyo Shogaku Gashiryo Butendo Myosyo Cho Jippo Kukyo Mi Shomon Behudyo Shogak, Ryokujin Shonen, Doeshu Bongyo, Shigumu Jodo, Isho Tenninshi, Jinriki and Daiko, Kushomu Taido, Shoujo San Kumyo, Kosai Shu Yakunan, Kaihichi Egen, Meshi Kon Moan, He Sokusho Akudo, Yudaten Shumon, Kosodyo Mandoku, Iyo Jippo, Ichigaten Shujuki, Tenko Onhugen, Ishu Kai Holo, Hoseku Dokuho, Yo Odai Shuchu, Seppo Shishiku, Kuyo Isthayabuten, Gu Sokushu Tokuhon, Ganesh Yoman, Tokui Sangayo, Nyobut Mugechi, Kudat Mi Husho, Gangaku Eriki, Toshi Sai Shoson, Shiganya Koka, Daisen no Kando, Koku Sho Tenin, Tochin Myoke. Namanabu, 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 namanabu. Ganiya shikudoku, yodo sei isai, don monai shin ojo. Namanda Buddhamanda, Namanda 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 Buddhamanda, Namo Mita Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Mita Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Okay, I will ask you to rise to join us in the Gata Hotoke-sama. (116) in the OCBC Shin Buddha Service Book, if you're live, and for those at home, it should be on the screen for you. Oh, just two, yeah, if we can, yeah. Yeah, we'll just do the first two verses. OCBC added some English verses to a number of songs, and we'll skip this one because I don't know when to, what word goes with what note. So, if we may, Watashi no suki no ka-sama no omune no yoni yowari ko takarete mitai hotoke-sama no sama Hotoke-sama Watashi no suki na to-sama no Otete no yoni shikari to Tsugate mitai Hotoke-sama. Please remain standing for the devotional reading, The Three Treasures, page 10 in the service book. How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life, and now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meaning of the sutras and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all sentient beings, become one Sangha of life able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter. But now I am able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Please be seated, and I will deliver a Dharma message. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. I often have trouble reading my remarks, but now I'm having trouble finding them. So I lost my glasses when I was on vacation, so I'm down to these readers. And you know, you stick these in every drawer, and they're still not there when you look for them. It's amazing. But again, good morning, and thank you for attending or otherwise participating in this service. As usual, I am assisted by Alan Goto, Kathy Kumagai, and my wife, Kyoko Okura Gibbs. Another bit of housekeeping, as I mentioned at the beginning, in 2 weeks we will have our fall Ohigon service. That's September 25th. And I want to encourage any of you who can to attend that service, in part because this will be a service at which we will have a guest minister. The first guest speaker we've had in 3 years. Also, she will be really interesting, not like some ministers. I'm not sure what the content of her Dharma message will be, but I am sure that it will be meaningful and engaging. That's in 2 weeks. Again, next week it's just me. Last week was our Shotsuki Hoyo service, and in the Dharma message portion of that service, I mentioned the importance of our commitment to nonviolence. Buddhists have a number of values that are important to us. All of those values can't fit together neatly. Every decision-making situation makes us nuance these views and fit them together. We cannot equally honor all Buddhist values in every choice we make. That is why we must prioritize our commitments. If you're a Buddhist genuinely trying to follow the guidance of Shakyamuni and his enlightened students, you must acknowledge that all this happens through cause and effect, that karma is real. That's the only mandatory belief for a Buddhist, and it's not exclusively Buddhist. Almost every religion believes that as you sow, so shall you reap. Difference is we don't think it's reward and punishment. We think it's just cause and effect. If you put ugly stuff out there into the stream in which you live, you're going to be consuming some ugly stuff. And if you put sweet, good stuff into the stream where you live, you're going to be consuming some sweet, good stuff. And if you're not sure of that, we are sure that other people will be. How we affect others is very much important on how we choose and what we do. And again, that's the only mandatory perspective for a Buddhist. It matters what we do. It matters what effects come of our decisions. And that's where it gets a little complicated, ethics of any kind, that the second most universal tenet for Buddhists is nonviolence. But it's not quite mandatory, the way that believing in cause and effect is. Nonviolence, ahimsa, avihimsa in Pali, ahimsa in Sanskrit, nonviolence, non-harming, non-cruelty. Now, Buddhism is not a prophetic tradition, so we don't need to cling to the exact meaning of the words that were used by the people who wrote down what the Buddha had said half a millennia earlier. So the exact word we don't need to worry about. However, it's interesting to look at the standard translations of these ancient Buddhist terms. Ahimsa, nonviolence. Now, nonviolence is about the effects of your actions. Don't do it if it's going to destroy things and hurt others. Nonviolence is about the effects of our actions. We endeavor not to be violent, not to be unduly rough with things, and certainly not with people or animals. Nonviolence in part means not being unduly rough with one another and with animals and even with objects. But quite specifically, we try not to harm others. That's the most important thing, not to harm others. This is the most important negative aspect of violence, that others are harmed. We must resolve not to harm others. But we're not always sure what actions will cause harm and which won't. Still remember 3 years ago, it was a cricket, okay, it wasn't a cat or a dog or a human being, but I'm in the bath and these crickets get into the house, and he was right next to the bathtub, and I took the bath mat off the bathtub, and I see him there, and I'm throwing it down, and I'm assuming he's going to jump. It's a cricket, they jump, right? He just sat there and let the bath mat fall down on him, and still I thought maybe the bath mat wouldn't be heavy enough to kill him, so I pulled the bath mat off, and it's a dead cricket. 3 years later, I still feel bad about that, It was just, I did not mean any harm, and I killed the thing. That's the truth about biological life. You can do terrible things without meaning to at all. If you're a cricket, crushing crickets is a terrible thing. We must resolve to endeavor not to harm others, but we're not always sure what will cause harm. We never know for sure whether our actions will bring harm or good to others, but we can be sure whether or not they're done with good intentions. We will help others or harm them intentionally. The intention to harm others can be lost, can be renounced. But again, we don't always know what harms and what doesn't harm. Beethoven had poor health for most of his adult life, and you may know that it's not clear what illness he had. It's some abdominal thing. It was probably a combination of irritable bowel syndrome and some other stuff. He had abdominal trouble all his life. And his doctor's advice was, drink more wine. And not only did his doctor tell him to drink more wine, but the wine, he liked those sweet wines, and those were sweetened with lead. Now, so there's a lot of people saying now that he was killed by lead poisoning, which is almost surely not true. We don't know what he died of. We don't know what diseases he had. What we do know is that his doctor prescribed voluminous amounts of wine as the cure. It didn't help him. The doctor's advice did not help him. So, again, the doctor thought it would help. I don't know why the doctor thought drinking a bunch of wine would help him with his abdominal troubles, but we don't always know how our actions will affect things. So we do, above all, wish to avoid intending to harm others. We wish to cease actions that will hurt others, even though we don't always know what that would be. And as a result, our intentions do become very important. Our style of acting, our style of being in the world, must be gentle and caring. We must desist cruelty. We must let go of cruel intentions. Ahimsa means, by definition, it also non-cruelty. Now, we meet here this morning on the 21st anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the United States of America, September 11th, 2001. One of those planes was diverted from its vicious mission and crashed. It was diverted by the brave passengers aboard Flight 93. Brave men and women, including Todd Beamer, who will always be remembered for his line, "Let's roll." He decided, they'd been talking on phones, they knew what was happening, he talked to some other guys, they knew what was happening, we're going to move in there and stop this. And his last recorded words were, "Let's roll." The passengers of flight number 93 did not mean to be cruel. I don't know what each of them felt or thought just then, but their rough and forceful response to the terrorist takeover of their plane was designed to subvert further loss of life and greater suffering. We must act in this world. We must sometimes act roughly, forcefully, harshly. But we don't need to be cruel. We don't need to intend harm. We can resolve not to hate. We can resolve not to feel hatred for people and not to lean toward violence. Our mission, if you accept it, and I have accepted it, is to avoid violence. The Buddhist way of living is to renounce feelings of hatred, to refuse to be brutal.
Our way is to gravitate toward gentleness, mildness, warmth towards other people. So, could you ever go to war? Not me. But under certain circumstances, some very genuine Buddhist people have gone to war. Could a Buddhist, a genuinely Buddhistic person, ever engage in terrorism? No. We don't do that. Even when forceful action with harsh results is called for, never terrorism, never random violence. We want to live with kindness, acceptance, and gentility. Sometimes we can. You all know my revision of the remark attributed to the current Dalai Lama that whenever you can, be kind to people. Whenever it is possible, be kind to people. It is always possible. It is not always possible. It is just flat out impossible for us sometimes to be kind to another human being. So what we can do is not be violent, not be harsh, not be deliberately mean. Sometimes that's the best you can do. In this very important matter, on this very crucial mission, for the project of living with gentle-heartedness and forbearance, let's roll. I will ask, in closing this Dharma message portion of our service, I will ask those who are so inclined to join me in saying the Buddha's name a few times in a posture of respect and reliance. Gasho. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
You know, whenever we write out a service order, we always put closing remarks and announcements, but then there's always a closing remark after the announcement. So in a way, it should be the other way. So we're going to have announcements in just a minute, and these are my closing remarks. We're going to have announcements. I'll make the first announcements. All my classes are back on. However, the Sunday class may not always be what it's advertised. I'm going to be here at noon for meditation, 1 o'clock for discussion if somebody comes. If anybody here wants a discussion class, we'll do that immediately after service. And if they want a meditation class just after that. I don't mind doing these two things twice, but I don't see I don't want to advertise it at 11 for when we have Otoki, right? So better to advertise it as noon and 1 p.m. and then, so anybody wants to chat about the Buddha Dharma right after service, I will be available today, and I will be available through 2 p.m. today at least. Thank you for attending the service. Any further announcements? Sure, come on. Come on, Jeannie. Remember, when I first came here, one of Uno Sensei's pet peeves, he didn't like lay people to make announcements from the floor. He said, make them walk up to the microphone.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for, I hated wearing my hearing aids with this. Anyway, thanks again to all the BWA and people who came to help with the seniors luncheon. We served over 120 lunches yesterday, and we will have leftovers. So if you'd like to take home some curry, Craig, we have curry lunches that you could send home. We also played bingo afterwards, and that was a lot of fun. So thanks to Alan Goto, who helped me with the technology on that. But our next fundraiser for BWA will be the end of September. And next Saturday, we have the Keiro, we are hosting, the temple is hosting the Keiro no Hi here. And so there are 100 people who have been registered that will be attending and using our facilities. So the parking lot might be full. What else is there? Oh, that's it, I think. Oh, the shopping extravaganza. It's the 24th, it's a Saturday, it's a lot of fun. Please ask your friends. It's a great day to go look for bargains or just walk around. Hopefully, it's not 110 degrees. But if you haven't been to the Citadel Shopping Center, they have all the major brands and even little minor brands too. So if there's a new baby in your life, it's always good to go to Carter's and all those baby stores. So please think about shopping. I know if you have visitors from Japan, they will go shopping and buy their fancy bags and stuff for $300 and go back to Japan and sell it for $600. So yeah, it's a great moneymaker for them too. So the Citadel is the 24th. You buy your tickets online. Come to the website. We have information there.
Sorry, Marvin. One other addition. On Fall Ohigan, I believe that our youth groups are also going to gather for the first time. Is that right? Kyoko-san? Oh, next week on the 17th? Oh. Okay, so please bring your young ones next Sunday, the 18th, and the 25th for Ohigan. And meet some of the other young families.
Good morning. My name is Marvin. Wanted to make you aware of two things. One is that in the month of October, Poston is having a pilgrimage. It was one of the concentration camps during World War II in Arizona. It was the largest one. There's Poston 1, Poston 2, and Poston 3. Is it the weekend of the 20th? 20th and 21st in October. I wanted to make you aware of that. It's kind of on my bucket list to visit all the WRA camps, so I'm going. I just recently came back from Heart Mountains pilgrimage, and we were fortunate to have Liz Cheney speak. I thanked her in person for defending democracy. So that took place. And so I'm going to the post in October. And then the second thing I want you to be aware of, if you can find it, I think you can find it online, but last week on Sunday morning, there's a program called Sunday Morning on Channel 2. They had an interview with the recent with Mikhail Gorbachev. And Mikhail Gorbachev was the leader of Russia, or actually the Soviet Union, when it dissolved in 1989-90. And they were interviewing him, and I swear I wasn't ready for this, but he was talking about what it took to be a leader, and his last comments was, he says, "We are born, we suffer, and we die." And I said, Mikhail Gorbachev became a Buddhist. It was just stunning. You can ask my wife. I'll try to get a copy of it on video and, let you guys see it. But I was just stunned. But it sounded like Mikhail Gorbachev, and he lived 30 years longer after the dissolving of the Soviet Union. And so it's pretty remarkable. Thank you.
So we are officially closing the September 11th, 2022 Pasadena Buddhist Temple Buddhist service. Some of you want to get a drink of water or visit the restroom, but I'll be around here in 10 minutes if anyone wants to have a discussion class. I I do hope to see some of you back next week or the week after. Thank you so much for being here. I will refresh the incense for anyone who wants to offer incense and who did not have a chance. Thank you. We rely upon the source